Hey everyone, TNT here. Alright, so we're back out working on the 1990 CR125 project. Today we are going to be doing some powder coating. This is the first time I have ever powder coated anything. I've been watching a lot of videos online, doing a bunch of research, so hopefully this turns out well for me. We're going to be powder coating the hubs today. There's a lot of things that need to be powder coated on the bike, but specifically it will be the hubs today. I'm not going to go through the full procedure of removing it from the bike and powder coating it, or pardon me, sandblasting it. Basically, we're going to skip all of that. I'll tell you what I've done, and we're going to go straight to the cleaning right before we heat it up in the oven and get ready to coat it. All right, so here's a look at the equipment that I'm going to be using today. All right, to start off, I've got a small pancake style air compressor. You don't need anything really big for this. You're not using high volume air, and you're using very low PSI. We're going to be using 10 PSI in the gun that I have today. I could use the regulator that's on the compressor, but I bought a separate one for the gun. I want to try and keep everything separated. I've got a moisture separator right here. Then I've got a regulator that I've set for 10 PSI. Then the Eastwood dual voltage gun that my family picked up for me. You can see it's brand new. It's never even been used. Here I've got a clothing rack. You've probably seen this clothing rack in many people's videos that they've done for powder coating. No, I didn't go out and buy this specifically because everyone had it. I actually took it from my wife because the wheels broke off the bottom, and I thought, wow, everyone else is using it, I will be using one too. So we're going to use this to hang the parts on when we're painting them. So this is another part of the gun. This is the power supply unit for it. You've got your hand trigger here that you press when you want to get electricity to the part that you're going to be coating. And then this here little alligator clip clips onto it. Got the dual voltage here. I'm not sure which voltage I'm going to be using. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that, but it's probably the low voltage. Here we have the Eastwood oven. This is, I'm not sure exactly what size, but it looks like about 1 foot high inside by 1.5 feet wide and say about 16 inches deep. From what I've seen, this oven is probably manufactured by one company, and a lot of people have their brand stamped to it. You can see it says Eastwood right there, but I've seen this particular oven with tons of different brands on it. It's not that expensive. I think I paid $100 US for it, and then I found out I could have got it up here in Canada for the same price. If you're Canadian, you can pick it up at a place like KMS Tools or Princess Auto. Now we come over here, we've got some heat-proof tape. I picked that up off Amazon. I got the two hubs that I'm going to be powder coating today. I put a little bit of tape inside where the bearing race and the seal goes. On this side, I was struggling to get it in there. It's a bit of a pain to get that tape in there, but I will put some in there. And then I'll be doing the same thing to the rear hub as well. Okay, we're going to need some heat-proof gloves. These are leather welding gloves because we're going to preheat the rack with the stuff that I'm going to be powder coating, and then bring it out, let it cool down a little bit, and then coat it. You're going to need some acetone and maybe a little container, because basically we're going to be taking the part, putting it in the container, and then just kind of brushing acetone all over it to get it nice and clean. You're going to need some cheap little brush like that. You're going to need some cheap little scalpels that you can pick up off Amazon, just because they're extremely sharp, unless you already have a sharp knife. You're going to need your powder coating powder. So this is Eastwood powder. You can buy your powder from lots of different places. I just happened to get this when I got my kit. This is going to be a satin black we're going to be using today. I thought about going gloss black, but I really want to try and get the bike to look as original as possible, and I don't think the black was gloss back in the day. Hopefully it turns out okay and looks good. And some nitrile gloves. Well, I think that's about it. That's what you're going to be using today for the powder coating. To start off, what I did after taking these off the bike is I cleaned them up really well, and then I sandblasted them. As you can see, they're completely sandblasted. Now, I used crushed glass to sandblast this. I'm not sure how the appearance is going to be. I think it's going to be a bit textured, but that's okay. I'm trying to experiment a little bit with different mediums in my sandblaster. I found that using sand just didn't work very well. It appears as though everyone's using aluminum oxide, so when I get a chance I'll probably switch over to that. I think it gives it a little bit less of a textured surface on it, but we'll see how this works out. Powder coat usually lays flat anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. So we're just going to put it in my nice clean container here. I got my brush. Just going to put some gloves on. And you're going to want to put some safety glasses on too when you're using acetone. You don't want to get this stuff in your eyes because it is it's nasty. It will burn. Now I'm not going to completely submerge this in here. The stuff evaporates pretty fast. Just going to pour some in like that. You could even just put it on a towel and you could, you know, just wipe it all down, but I'm going to use a brush. So these little pieces, these little hangers that I made here, this is just some copper wire. If you watched my last video where I was doing the DIY zinc plating, I bought about 10 feet of ground wire, copper ground wire for your house, which has about 6 strands in it. I guess this is probably, oh gosh, maybe 16 gauge wire. It might even be thicker than that. So it works really well to be able to hang, plus its conductivity is going to be really good. But you know what, if you don't have that, you can kind of make hangers out of any type of metal. It's just got to be conductive if you're going to be using your alligator clip on your wire rather than on the part that you are going to powder coat. Okay, so this area on this side, I'm just going to pop this hook out. Use the wide stuff. Because I can just cover a larger area. You know, kind of go like that, and then I'm going to cut it back. Go like that. Just cut that off. See how nice those little scalpels work? I'm going to package 10 of these scalpels for super cheap. Just go on Amazon. Get this all in one nice. Am I going to get it? It's just kind of like doing that smiley face thing at the... No, not quite going to get it. So, I have to go like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to push that all down. Just going to cut in these areas here where I want it to sit down. I've got a little bit of a ridge on the edge here that holds that rotor in place. There is quite a bit of prep to this. That's why I told you I wasn't going to, you know, go through it all on here, or we'd be sitting here for half an hour just prepping everything. You get the idea of what needs to be prepped, and you can, you know, pretty much do it yourself. Okay, so we've got everything all masked off with the heat-proof tape. You got to see a little bit of that. I didn't take you through the whole thing. Basically, I wound up using the wider tape and covering a larger area and then cutting it back everywhere that I needed to. Down in here on the inside, I took two sections that were about half of the circumference, inserted one, laid it in, and then put the other one in. Don't try and get a full circumference piece in there. It's very difficult to get in. So that's all masked off on the areas that we don't want to get any of the powder coat on. If I happen to get a little bit of the powder coat on an area where I don't want, I'll simply just use a Dremel to remove it. Okay, same thing with the front hub. In this area here, I'm not sure what I'm going to do to try and close that off, so I decided that what I'll do is after it's just the seal, I'll take a Dremel and I will just very lightly touch it with a Scotch-Brite pad to clean the powder coat off when I'm done. And then I also half taped it on both sides inside that one, and we're good to go. I'm just going to stick one more little piece of shop towel down inside here. Not that it's a major deal, but I just want to make sure that that tape does not come away from the metal in any way. Just make sure it's not an obstruction when I'm spraying the powder on. And we're good to go. Now we're going to hang it from the rack, and we're going to put it in the oven for about 20 minutes and get it ready for powder coating. Now, you know, obviously it can sit in two different ways. I'm going to put it in this way to get it up a lot higher. I've already checked out which spot I need to get this on the rack in order to have the clearance and room inside my oven so that it's not touching the walls in any way or touch. My shop towel stick into my, there we go. Okay, now let's move it over into the oven. Okay, so I got the parts removed from the oven now. Make sure you use some heat resistant gloves. Oven mitts are probably the best way to go because that rack's going to be hot. Just leave your oven on. According to the manual now, we are going to let these cool down and then we're going to clean them off with acetone again, because apparently the heating process can bring out other contaminants you may not have been able to have gotten off prior to the heating process. Then after that, it says that you put it back into the oven again and you preheat it again. And what that does is it prevents any pitting that might occur when you are powder coating. It allows the paint to kind of glaze over better. But the funny thing is they say that you can still spray it hot or cold. So let's let these cool off, and then we'll brush them down with acetone, and then we'll throw them back in the oven for another 20 minutes, pull them out, and start spraying them. Slide that in there. Just going to see where my timer is, because it was basically set at 60 and never took it off. We got it at 10. I'm going to turn it up to 20. We'll set it in there for another 20 minutes, and then we'll come back. And I think I'm going to let it cool off a little bit. I'm not going to try and powder coat at 450 degrees. Probably let it cool down to somewhere around 100, and then we'll start applying the powder coat. Back up on the rack here. And I'm going to get everything ready here to be able to start painting. Make sure that all my cords are in a position that I'll be able to freely move. I think fit there. Now, I'm going to do one at a time. I'll go over top here, I think. Put this alligator clip right to that piece of copper. Just going to check my regulator again. I am at 10 psi, so here we go. Not too happy about the wind that I got happening here. Have a look at that. It looks good. I don't think I missed anywhere. Slide her in there nice and slow. So we don't knock any of that powder off. And there we go. So that is a satin finish for sure. Now I'm not sure if I want to do anything else in a satin finish now that I look at that. I might have to just wait until tomorrow and go get, you know, maybe a gloss black. That's going to be fine for the hubs. I'm okay with that. But the foot pegs and the motor, I think I want something a little bit glossier than that. Okay, let's just let that cool off and then we'll get them out of the oven and have a look at them outside. I thought the satin would have a little bit brighter finish to it. It's almost like a matte black, but I don't mind that finish at all. It looks pretty good. Overall, I think it turned out pretty good. That's my first time ever powder coating. I think I did everything correct. I don't think I did anything wrong to make it not a durable finish. All right, everyone, so that's going to wrap up the powder coating video for the CR125. I'm pretty happy with the results. I mean, I've gone over this piece and I've looked everywhere at it and it doesn't look like I missed anywhere, so I'm pretty stoked about that. The finish is good. Color's not exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping for more of a black, not a gloss black, but a black, and this turned out to be satin black, but I'm going to be content with that. I do have some paint that I could use to paint up my spring, but I still need to do some more cleaning on it. I haven't got all the paint off it yet. I'm going to have to get the sandblasting box out here and do some more work on that. I thought about going up to the store and picking up some more powder, but unfortunately the closest place that's open is in Langley, and they don't sell Eastwood, they sell Power Fist powder, and I kind of want to stick with Eastwood for now and see how much I like it. I've read some reviews on the Power Fist stuff and nobody's really got any issues with it other than it's cheap, and generally when you buy something cheap it's not as good as the more expensive stuff. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching my channel. Please subscribe, leave some comments, and I'll catch you next time.